Hi everyone, Gianni DePoce here with TheoTrade, and today is Tuesday, the 11th of February, 2025, and we have a couple things going on right now. Of course, there were some more tariff announcements, haven't led to any new tantrums yet. We had a 25% tariff announcement on steel and aluminum and some other metal products. But of course, we have Fed Chair Powell talking to Congress today and tomorrow, which could move markets. There's also important inflation numbers. And of course, we are still in earnings season. So it's never been a more important time to be able to read the price action of markets. We start simple. We look at the trends. Covered that yesterday in the Theo Live session. Today, we got into support and resistance. All very important tools and techniques that can help give you an edge over others in this market. So let's start off by looking at the S&P 500. Within the context of the trend, we've been going sideways here now for really about 2 to 3 months. It's pretty amazing when you consider it. You had that big post-election pop, but when you consider where stocks were, right after the election, we're only about 100, 200 points higher. It's been pretty quiet since then, but I am overall encouraged by what we're seeing here because, as a rule, any market that goes sideways near its highs is displaying bullish price action. Now, we actually saw the script flipped a little bit this week. The last couple of weeks were marked by selling on Mondays and Fridays, followed by bids Tuesdays through Thursdays. But this week we had a bid on Monday, and today a little bit more selling. Markets are mainly flat here, but I really just want to stress the importance of zooming out in this tape. Look at the longer term trends. Remember, the market's going to spend more time moving in the direction of that longer term trend. Not only that, but it's also going to have the bigger price moves in that direction. And this trend on the weekly chart here in the S&P futures, very much up. And I just really like the way this is setting up here for another potential leg higher. You have the NASDAQ here kind of doing something similar, building a nice base. I think there's a lot of good things happening underneath the surface of the NASDAQ. And I'm still big on what's happening in the software sector. We did actually take a trade in the Trinity trade recently in another software name, Magnite, starting to see some upside follow through on that one. It's looking really strong. But I think it's going to be a big theme going forward. I'm still concerned with the state of semiconductors and not really pleased with how, we gapped down following that DeepSeek AI announcement, and we haven't really recovered that much. But if you take a look at NVIDIA here, okay, I am not entirely ruling out that this was a low of significance in NVIDIA, but there is more work to be done. First and foremost, we need to close this price gap that we have from that big sell-off. Okay, NVIDIA does have earnings in a couple of weeks, could be a market moving event, but once again, I just keep going back to the longer term time frames on these charts, and they still look solid. This looks like another higher low compared to the trend, and I think that NVIDIA could be in a position to continue to the upside. Now, it's not all rainbows and butterflies in the semiconductor space. You still have AMD hanging out around the lows. I think this one could make a comeback at some point, but we need to see some more improvement. Broadcom's still hanging out near the highs. That's clearly emerged as a leader in the space. But at some point, I do need to see chips start moving to the upside. In terms of other stocks, the Magnificent Seven, Microsoft still trying to find a bottom. Amazon's been a leader as of late, but a lot of these names, especially like Google, after that gap down, looks like it wants to rest here. Netflix had that nice pop, but it also looks like it's due for some rest. Well, on Friday, we finally closed out our position in Tesla. It closed below the stop loss that we had at 369.49, and it's been selling off ever since. So, this does raise some concerns. You're getting pretty close to an oversold reading here on the RSI indicator. The longer term trend is still up. At some point, there may be an opportunity to buy this stock back, but I think it does fit into the bigger picture of what we're seeing happening at a global scale in markets. And what do I mean by that? Well, I started writing some articles here at TheoTrade in the Free Sector Bullseye newsletter that you can find at theotrade.com under blog. I've been writing about how there are some opportunities emerging in China, and I really like what's happening in China. You take a look at FXI here. We've been adding some exposure. It's been several weeks now that we've been adding exposure to the Chinese sector. In the live room, we've picked up BYDDY, just a few weeks ago, and it had a huge move last week, up over 20%. That really put us in a good position to be holding this stock. And of course, we had that article that we shared a few weeks ago as well, where we wrote the plan to back up the truck here on Kifu Technology. So this is looking pretty good as well. I like what's happening in Kifu. But when it comes to China and the whole Tesla situation, it's interesting to see how Tesla is selling off here. Okay, breaking support. Meanwhile, BYDDY, which is basically considered to be the Tesla of China, has absolutely exploded to the upside. And this looks like a stock that wants to go back to its all-time highs. We'll see if we can get there. It's only about what, 20 bucks away from there, 20, 30 bucks away from there. So I think that could be done. But it is amazing to see that rotation out of Tesla into BYDDY. And I think that it fits within a broader trend that we're starting to see. China shaping up better than US stocks in the near term. And it's not even just China. You're seeing a lot of European stocks hit new highs as well. The German DAX hitting new all-time highs. The London Stock Exchange, the FTSE hitting new all-time highs. The Dutch, the Amsterdam Stock Exchange looks like it wants new all-time highs. So, that's the theme as you look here at VT, the Vanguard World Stock ETF. I think that at least the first half of 2025 could be one that is characterized by global stocks finally reasserting themselves compared to US stocks. That's not a very popular opinion to have on Wall Street right now, but it's one that I feel increasingly comfortable taking. So that's what I am looking at becoming a bigger and bigger theme. Is I'm looking at China making a big comeback, and of course, there's also the Chinese internet stocks that I'm watching very closely. I will be sending out another newsletter tomorrow. You can find the article at the Sector Bullseye newsletter on TheoTrade.com, explaining why I like Chinese internet stocks especially. So definitely something I think you should check out, and just stay tuned for that tomorrow. Elsewhere in this markets, gold hitting another new all-time high. We did that special presentation a little over a month ago on how we like precious metals, at least for the first half, maybe into the third quarter of this year. And gold has been doing very well, getting close to some of our upside price targets that we shared in that presentation. Silver, on the other hand, still basing here, but I think there are some opportunities. Agnico Eagle Mines, the name that we shared in the live room, as well as Alamos Gold, both shaping up and looking very strong. And on that golden front, we had a golden opportunity in precious metals. There's also the golden setup that my colleague and friend Tony Rago likes to use, and he's going to be coming out on Thursday with Don for a very exciting update and announcement on how the results of his system have been. It's very good, it's very exciting, and if you are more of a short-term trader, I definitely suggest that you check out what Tony's got going on in that. So nonetheless, I still like what's happening here in precious metals. If we look elsewhere in bonds, we're seeing a little bit of selling near term, but the inflation numbers this week, as well as Powell, could lead to a reversal on this front. Crude oil still trading in no man's land, even though you're seeing a bit of a rally here. Nothing really to get too excited about yet, in my opinion, as long as we are below technical resistance and above technical support. It's kind of a snooze fest, but I do think this is like a Goldilocks setup here for crude oil, because if prices remain low, it's going to help keep inflation down. But they're still above a level where producers need the prices like this to make money. So this is a really nice setup, I think, for crude oil. The longer this lasts, the better it is for stocks overall. We just need to see that breakout out of this range, and it could happen sooner rather than later. And of course, we have to discuss what's happening in crypto. Bitcoin seeing some more selling here today. I'm really curious to see if this low from the 3rd of February holds. But, again, this is an example of what I mentioned earlier, similar to stocks. This is a market that is going sideways near its all-time highs. It's $15,000 off of its all-time high, a little bit more than 10%. And, I'm hearing stories of people throwing in the towel on this whole crypto thing. Ethereum still looking a little bit weaker, but there is a huge, huge, huge short position floating out there in the futures market in Ethereum. I think it's ripe for a squeeze. I had to scale back on some of my positions on this simply due to risk management, but I do think Ethereum will emerge as a as a big winner at some point this year once the cycle bottoms out. So I do like what's happening here in Ethereum. And in terms of other names in the space, MicroStrategy still struggling a little bit here. Coinbase still sloppy. So we still got to sort it out, but we know that when it bottoms, it can rebound very quickly. So I am going to be keeping an eye on that. But that's pretty much what I'm looking at today. So hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the TheoTrade chat room. See you next time. Thank you.